construct $5 million worth of public improvements with his money and invest $100 million in vertical improvements with his money, he came to the city and he said, I would like you to create a tax increment reinvestment zone. I would like you to create that zone. And if I do what I say I'm going to do, put my $5 million in the ground for public infrastructure, I think it's now about $70 million, and build all these vertical improvements, and the tax base comes, then I would like to get repaid. I'd like to get repaid. I'll be the banker. You don't have to issue debt. You don't have to worry about the fact that the tax base isn't here to fund the public improvements. I'll be the banker. I'll put the money in the ground, and all I'm asking in exchange for putting the money in the ground is that I get paid back from the tax base that I create. I get paid back from the tax base that I create. And oh, by the way, I want interest. How many people have borrowed money from a bank without paying interest? He wants 3% interest on the money he's putting into the public improvements. So fundamentally, what the tax increment reinvestment zone does is create a geographic boundary, mostly including Kyle's property. It includes a little bit more, a little bit of church property, a little bit of the city property. The city doesn't have to create the TERS over the church property or the city property. Why was that included? Why did we put that geographic boundary in that way? Well, the city said, as we came to them and said, please create this zone so we can get paid back for the public infrastructure that we're putting in the ground. The city said, well, we've got all these wastewater treatment plant issues moving around here. We've got an existing plant. We've got to expand the existing plant to include a temporary treatment plant. And oh, by the way, we need a permanent solution. Part of the land that was considered for the permanent solution is land that Kyle owns, land that's within the drawn geographic boundary. One of the tools provided by Chapter 311 is an express exemption to public bidding. And so one of the business points that was discussed with the city is, well, if all the stars align and if you support the zone and if this all makes sense for everybody, then one thing that we could do collaboratively within the zone is a land swap. We could have Kyle give the land needed for the permanent wastewater treatment solution to the city in exchange for the city giving to Kyle the existing wastewater treatment plant land once it's decommissioned after the permanent facility comes online. Yes?
Ms. Fincher, let me jump in real fast. So the church does own a piece of the property between the Wilks property and the city. Have they offered to give you that property as well in a land swap?
They have not. The church hasn't. And in fact, the church didn't say, please put my land in the TERS. Mm-hmm. When the engineers were drawing the lines, the city attorney said, can't we just make that line go straight across? And I said, yes, sir, we can.
Okay.
And so we'll blame Ryder because he's not here to defend himself.
Sure.
So there wasn't any magic to that. Now, there was some discussion that the existing wastewater treatment plant might not be big enough for the temporary treatment plant to be dropped down and accommodate an existing road alignment and accommodate an existing improvement. And so I think there has been some discussion with the church folks about using part of their land in the east, closer to the river, for a buffer for that temporary plant. But all those are kind of moving pieces, and we don't control them.
And the reason I asked was last week during the P&Z meeting, I saw that, and that was the first that I had seen or heard. You weren't this open about it, but I must say they've been willing, open, super easy to work with is the few times I've met you guys. So that part was a little arcane to me because we hadn't seen that or heard that until just now that you said that there was a potential for a land swap. Maybe I overlooked it somewhere along the line. My concern though, and before you guys started coming to these meetings a year ago, the city was willing to drop that sewage plant in anybody's backyard here. And that's why a lot of us come here now, that's why we're involved in this. And was because we wanted to make sure that that didn't happen. And we feel, and I might be speaking just, I'm gonna say this, I feel that we kind of might be doing that again, right? We had a big community town hall meeting, 400 people showed up and voted, and overwhelmingly the people voted for a specific type of plant at the existing location. And so it's a little uncomfortable to hear a land swap that's going on because the community wants one thing, and then at that time anyways, they wanted something, and so.
that, those are all fair comments, and let me assure you of this, Kyle doesn't get a vote.
Understand.
on where the West
No,
Virginia
I just wanted, like I said, you guys have been awesome, man, I really think so.
Yes,
I just wanted to.
not with y'all.
Yeah.
So if you're elected, the
Understand.
reality is your elected officials are in charge of wastewater
Yep.
and road alignments and.
I was just painting a picture, giving you a little background, and
You
just,
bet.
and then just trying to get, like I said, with just hearing now that there is a potential land swap,
Yeah,
that's
and
news to me.
so let's talk about kind of the pieces and which piece we're focused on here tonight. The only thing I would like to happen tonight is to have the zone created. Which projects get funded within the zone and the preliminary project and finance plan that ultimately becomes the final project and finance plan, which I'm happy to email you a copy of if you don't have. All of that is intended to be negotiated in the next month or so, before the next council meeting.
I know, and we don't have,
And
they
it's-
haven't shared public hearings around.
Sure.
And so let's talk about public hearings. I think there's a bit of confusion about the zone creation public hearing versus the adequacy of notice on the resolution, so let's talk about that. The language you were reading in the resolution about notices, all that's referring to is the Open Meetings Act 72 hours published notice. And so that was satisfied when they posted the agenda on the front door of the Friday before the Tuesday meeting. So that's the notice that's referenced in the resolution. That resolution, and truth be told, a lot of cities don't even adopt those resolutions. I prefer those types of resolutions because they provide a measure of transparency. They give you notice that there's going to be notice. And so that's all that resolution was intended to do, was to say, we are gonna call a public hearing. We are gonna publish the required notices as required by chapter 311. The only public hearing published notice required by chapter 311 is the 7-day newspaper notice that I think you referenced Josh pointing you toward, which was noticing this public
Yeah,
hearing
that was
tonight,
for this.
which is the only public hearing required in order to create a zone. Now, if the city wants to amend the zone, expand it, extend the term, all those kind of things, they can have another public hearing, and they have to do another 7 days published notice. But I do these all the time, and the resolution calling the public hearing, I get that done in about 1 out of 10 cities. Because most cities say, oh, we don't need that resolution, staff can just do that. Staff will just publish those notices, staff will just put that in the newspaper. Betty, jump in here, you know.
I don't do them that way, or I didn't do them that way.
So I prefer the resolution because I'm wired a little conservative and I think people ought to know what's going on. And so the resolution was intended to foreshadow for you that this was coming. And then you have the required statutory notice. With respect to the board composition, that's kind of a funny thing because what Ryder's gonna tell you is it doesn't matter that these folks are the same elected officials, they can sit on the board because the board is acting in one capacity and the council is acting in a different capacity. And the law permits that. And I have cities all across Texas that have a TERS board that's made up of council members. Now, I can tell you that my preferred approach and the one that I always advocate for in cities is not to have the whole body, not to have the whole council on the TERS board. My perfect world is an odd number. Why do I like odd numbers? Because you can't get a tie in a vote. I like odd numbers.
Well, it specifically says that too, at least 5, no more than 15.
Right, but that provides for 6.
Yeah,
Right?
well, yeah.
And so I don't favor even numbers on boards. My perfect world was we picked 3 of these. Why pick council members? Why pick council members to put on a board? Because as you all know from volunteering, sometimes it's hard to get a quorum. Sometimes it's hard to get a quorum from folks that are volunteering because we're all busy. We have husbands and kids and social activities and work and all that stuff that sucks up our time. And so if the last thing on the list is come to a TIF board meeting, a lot of times people say, I'll skip that, I don't have time for that. And so from a legal perspective, I like having council members sit on boards because I'm guaranteed a quorum, particularly if I have the council members and the TIF board meet on the same night. but I wouldn't put all of them on there. In my perfect world, I'd put 3, and you know who else I'd put? I'd put the city manager. Why? Because he's your chief operating officer. And I would put the city engineer. Why? Because the city engineer's in the best position to grade my paper on the public infrastructure. So in my perfect world, they would have a TIF created tonight that had a 5-member board, 3 council members, city manager, and city engineer. That would be my perfect world. But as you point out, that's not what the statute says. The statute says minimum of 5, no more than 15, with whoever you want on there.
Yeah, and it also says it shouldn't be an elected official or, public official or employee. These people, and I have looked at different cities, and some of them do have the council, I see that. I'm not really interested in what they're doing. The focus of our group is to try and straighten out what our city is doing, because.
So you're all running for elected office?
No. No, I like being able to say what I wanna say.
Yes, sir. Yes, ma'am. Go ahead.
Go ahead.
As somebody that lives on Kingsgate, I'm right across the street from this traffic point. I have a lot of concerns about the buffer zones and a lot of the details and specifics of what's gonna be there, how the amphitheater is gonna affect the noise level, all the lights, things like that. Where would we find those details? And when are those gonna be available for the public?
So some of those details are in the zoning. So the PD, the Plan Development Zoning, went before the Planning and Zoning Commission at their last meeting. I was hopeful that it would be before council tonight for consideration. It's not. The only thing before council tonight is the public hearing on the PD zoning. So you will hear some about that tonight with respect to land uses and the details. Again, the PD zoning is drafted and it should be in your council packages available to the public. And if you haven't seen it, I'm happy to email you a copy of it. You got a great planner right here, Betty Chu. She's gonna give you a staff report. She's gonna tell you a bunch of stuff about the PD. But there is no action on the PD tonight. Why? Because I couldn't convince Ryder to post it on the agenda. All he would do is post the public hearing, and the only reason he posted the public hearing is because Betty had already sent out the notices saying the public hearing was tonight. So we'll be back to talk about the zoning, but to be clear about this on the zoning, tonight is your night to say your piece, because when they come back to act on the zoning, it probably isn't gonna be a public hearing, so what are they gonna tell you? You don't get the law. So to the extent you got a concern about the public hearing, now's the time. I've heard, since P&Z, I've heard one comment about the zoning, one. And that was a concerned citizen that says, I know our existing zoning regulations permit, was it pawn shops in commercial? I know our existing zoning permits pawn shops in commercial, but I really wish you would prohibit yourself from doing pawn shops. That's the only thing I've heard about the zoning. But I can assure you, this man's not gonna put $100 million investment in something that's gonna look bad. He has pride of authorship. And so, the other thing that I would share with you is, we've got a council member that suggested, Kyle, and I think it's a good idea, that you take one of the presentation boards that you had at P&Z and just put it up here at City Hall so that folks can look at it. And I said, Kyle, he's a pushover, of course he'll do it. She offered to buy it, and I said, oh no, Kyle will just put one up. So let's get back to, what are we doing tonight? Adopting an ordinance. What are the 3 things that ordinance are supposed to do? 4 things. Create the zone, which is the geographic boundary. So we ask ourselves, do we want all 230 acres in it? Do we just want Kyle's land in it? Do we just want Kyle's land and the treatment plan and none of the church's land? That's 1, create the zone. What else does that ordinance do? It appoints the board. Do we want 5? Do we want 15? Do we want D6? Do we want a subset of something else? What else does that ordinance do? It establishes the term. It establishes the term. How long? We've asked for 30 years. We've asked for 30 years. Please create a zone for 30 years, because that's how long it will take us to recover the investment in the public infrastructure plus 3% interest, 30 years. Now, the great thing is, I see you ready for a question. Let me finish the statement and I'll come back to this question. The great thing about it is the statute, look it up because you're familiar with chapter 311 now, says the term of the zone is the shorter of the stated term or when it pays out. So let's say land skyrockets here. and the land value appreciates, and the tax base comes on faster than we expect it to in the pro forma, which is kind of conservative, 'cause, right, we don't wanna overpromise and underperform, so we have to be conservative. So, if things go gangbusters and Kyle gets paid back from the increment that he creates faster than anticipated, by operation of law, the term expires, 30 years.
It's up
Ryder's-
for 25,
Ryder wants 25.
yeah.
Ryder wants 25, and I'll tell you why that's crazy, but let me answer this question.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
Alright, thank you for coming tonight. First, I wanted to make sure I heard you right. So, current zone where Mr. Wilks is going to include the acreage that's currently assigned to the wastewater treatment plant, is that correct?
Yes, sir. So if you look at the 230 acres that was in the notice for the public hearing tonight, that 230 acres includes everything Kyle owns, and it includes the 7.76 acre existing wastewater treatment plant.
Okay.
And then if you look at the southern boundary line of the existing wastewater treatment plant, and you draw a line, what, east, thank you, Jordan, east,
Okay.
I'm directionally challenged, y'all, east,
Right.
then it picks up that much church property. So you got all of Kyle, you got the little bit wastewater treatment plant, then you got a straight line from the southern boundary east,
Okay.
connecting the wastewater treatment plant to Kyle's property, and that's the piece that's the church property, which quite frankly,
Okay.
isn't big enough to put a ball field in, but that's a different
I have
story.
a couple more questions.
Yes, sir.
What are the public improvements that are going to be associated with this?
I have a list.
City of Willow Park is
They don't post anything
Well,
about anything.
this is the agenda package that got emailed to me, so I could email it to you. It's not a secret.
I got an email, I came up here to get it, because I emailed last week, I came up here to get it, and you emailed it to me, but I only got it, an hour before.
Well, that's always helpful, because you're
The
speaking,
meeting,
right?
yeah, oh, yeah, well, I actually am, but.
These are my cheaters, I have to put them in the reading.
Yeah.
Okay, so in the preliminary project and finance plan and in the TIF feasibility study, the following public improvements are proposed. Crown Point Road extension, so we know where Crown Point Road is,
Yeah.
and it needs to go up.
Right.
And so that's one of it, $1.2 million. Public parks, $400,000, public parking, $345,000, trail system, $345,000. Meadow Place Drive, $1.7 million, Shops Boulevard, $1.1 million, water lines, $300,000, sanitary lines, $450,000, drainage improvements, $750,000, and then administrative costs. What is that? Administrative cost is the city's cost to administer the zone, which I have to tell you, I think is insanely high, because Ryder wanted it programmed at $30,000 a year for the first 10 years, and $20,000 a year after that, so it's lumped in here at a bargain basement price of $600,000. I can tell you, because I do these all the time, that it's gonna cost the city about $2,000 a year to administer this zone. Those administrative costs come off the top,
So-
so,
He is financing the trail for public access.
yes, sir.
Yeah, there's a lot of public
And parks,
Yes, sir.
sports recreational use,
Mhm.
soccer.
Yeah, and Kyle, any chance you've got any of your presentation boards?
I have the main board.
Will you bring that in, please? And then I can show you
And
where
I
the
can
public
show you-
parking is and the
We
amphitheater
might be able
and
to
the
set
trail
this
and all this.
computer up, I don't
When
know.
you say vertical improvements, what are you?
The stuff that people get taxed on. So anything, so when developers talk, they talk about horizontal stuff, which is dirt down, water, sewer, roads, and drainage.
Okay.
And vertical stuff, which is dirt up. The vertical stuff is what gets taxed. So if all he does is invest $7.1 million in public infrastructure, the horizontal, and he never goes vertical, he's never getting his money
Right,
back.
of course.
Because the only source of repayment is the revenue
So
he generates.
what would constitute